and welcome to Stories of Hope. I'm your host, Christine Hotchkiss, and here we will discuss grief, healing, hope, inspiration, transformation, and celebration of life. Just a little bit about myself. I am a mother of loss. My daughter, Nicole, passed away in 2007. That is my grief in an act of healing, transformation, inspiration, for those of you who know me, living life after loss and still enjoying life itself, which is celebrating life. Today we are going to talk about a topic that is another bad word, cancer. Cancer is a topic that I can't even say I understand myself. It's not a journey that I have gone through, nor do I understand or want to. But today I want to understand the people that do deal with cancer. And there are so many different cancers out there that I can't keep up as probably the people who get diagnosed with cancers. So today I would like to introduce my guests, and we will start with Brenda. Brenda, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, and thank you for having us here today. As you said, my name is Brenda Johnson, and I am a two-time cancer survivor. My first diagnosis was when I was in my 20s, and my second diagnosis came later in life in my 40s. So I wore many roles in that journey. But today I'm sitting here as a survivor.
When you said you had a couple of different cancers, can you say what those cancers are?
Sure. The first diagnosis I received was Hotchkiss lymphoma, and the second diagnosis was breast cancer. So, quite a journey.
Absolutely. Thank you. Elizabeth, hi. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Elizabeth Platt, and I too am a breast cancer thriver. I'm going to call myself a thriver. I was diagnosed at the age of 36, stage 3 breast cancer, and 10 years later was re-diagnosed with breast cancer that had moved to the bone. But I'm thriving, and that's kind of how I explain to people that I'm not just the survivor, I'm the thriver.
I like that. It gives more power.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Janice, tell us about yourself.
My name is Janice Reynolds, and my story has been, I came down with a blood cancer 2004. I've been stable for many years, and then a couple of years ago I developed breast cancer. So went back into treatment, and unfortunately the blood cancer now has become active. So I'm being treated for it now, but I'm doing just fine. So, and I'm a wife, mother, sister, and a friend.
That you are.
That's who I am.
Thank you. Does anyone have a book that they've written or in the process of writing? Or maybe consider writing with all of the things that you have shared about what you're going through or have gone through?
That's a consideration.
Anything in particular that you want to write?
More so writing about the strength, the push, the encouragement, and really embracing walking by faith and not by sight. So I've given some consideration to that.
It's funny you say that walk by faith and not by sight. I have tattooed on the arch of my foot, step with faith. It hurt too. But I remember it very clearly because I think that was a temporary pain versus life and all the different things that are a constant knockdown. Yeah. And you use the word strength, and me being a parent of loss, I'm always hearing, I can't imagine, well, I'm sure you have heard the same phrase, I can't imagine, well, and anyone out there has probably heard I can't imagine, but you have to imagine because it's your life. This is what you have to do every single day. There's probably days, as anyone else that's not fighting a depression of some sort with cancer or the loss of a loved one or whatever the loss is in your life, that strength is the last thing we're thinking we want to get up out of bed that day. And so we put our masks on and we put our smiles on and we say, I got this. I understand that you have a nonprofit.
Yes.
Please tell us about it.
So the nonprofit was basically formed out of experience of what I felt I needed most during my journey. although I had great support, having a social worker background, I was very, very haunted by the thought of women who are single moms, or women who are widowed, or women who have lost, family members. What about them who have no one to turn to? And so, as I was healing and going through my journey, I just had this burning feeling like I'm going to figure out a way to help give back to women that I think are going to need the help. Because if I'm in this dark place and have support, how do women who are in the dark place with no support get through their day? And so Impact One was basically founded on serving women wherever they are in their journey. It wasn't just a journey of after diagnosis or during, it's wherever they are in their journey, because the diagnosis never goes away. You always will have this fear or grief that you have gone through. And so we send women all over the country really important items that are often not covered by insurance, or sometimes it is covered by insurance, but women are in a place where they don't know where to turn. And so we're able to advocate and let them know about what we feel could help them in their journey. And so there's lots of programs that we're doing, but that's just kind of the gist of Impact One. We just all wanted to just help one woman at a time, and that's kind of what we're doing now.
I love you say help one woman at a time. If anyone knows my voice message, it says make a difference in one person, one day at a time. And that is how I truly feel. And that was a voice message I had on a long time ago, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
So
It makes that person who's reaching out to us feel special. When they see the number one, they feel like, I'm the one they're helping. So that's kind of how we feel about it. So.
And now thank you for sharing. And at the bottom of your screen, you'll have the information should you need to reach out to get more information about who they are and what they do, and if they're in your area. I should ask you actually, are you just locally here in Arizona, or are you everywhere?
So we're based here in Arizona,
Okay.
but we serve women all over the country.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear.
I always say cancer has no boundaries, and neither do we.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. And now I understand you also work with Impact One.
I do.
Please tell me what you do.
I am on the advisory board, and so I am in constant communication with, I don't want to say patients, I say clients, women that contact us. It's not just women, it's men on behalf of their spouse or their significant other. And so we're constantly in motion and dealing and embedding ourselves in people's lives. They reach out to us. And so it could be anything from a phone call to, I was just diagnosed and told I'm going to have surgery and I don't know what that means, to I've been on this journey for a while. My prosthesis are worn out. I need a new set. It could be just a gamut of things. And we just, as Elizabeth has stated, we focus on each person one at a time to make sure that they are connected and continuing in a positive place in their journey. We meet them wherever they are.
You say the word connect. Connection is everything in every part of our lives, right? For me, I connected with you because of something I did for the nonprofit organization I work for, that I was able to provide a donation of prosthetics. And when we got them, I was like, I don't know what these are. And I just met you prior to that at a health fair, and I met you, and you're closing up, and I was like, wait a minute, that looks familiar. Oh, that's right, I learned that through Janice, because Janice actually was at one of your places where you do boxes. Is that what it is?
She was there. She was on site when we did our whole video of how to let people know what our program does. She helped coach us. She was kind of behind the scenes because we were trying to speak to the camera, and it was so hard because we were just, lost for words, nervous, and so she was kind of behind the scenes helping kind of guide us.
So since she was behind the scenes guiding you, gently, that's my word, gently guiding you, what did you do? What was that you were helping with?
Oh, just trying to make them feel more comfortable being in front of the camera.
Would you say you had a great experience being around other individuals that knew that journey, that walk, and that need?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I ask that with respect because I am not there. So I ask you guys to share with our audience as well as educate me what that journey is. You mentioned the breast cancer, I think all of you have. So here's another thing that not many people ask about the journey of the chemo that you go through. And there was a gentleman that was supposed to be here today. Unfortunately, was not able to. This was his chemo week. Because I always want to have one male within my setting because society doesn't have a lot of men speaking about their feelings or their journeys or what their opinions are respectfully. And so that's what I want to make sure I have. And so he's not here because this is his chemo week. So I'm going to ask you each to walk me through what the process of his chemo is. But first I want to mention Janice and I have been talking just recently about how there's a need for an advocate for those days where there's nobody, because no one either has the time, doesn't want to understand, doesn't want to be through that pain of watching their loved one sit there and go through this. And I actually had a brief experience sitting with Janice when she had a treatment, just because I'm all about the asking the questions. Some people get defensive, like, why do you ask questions? I'm asking questions because I sincerely care, and I really want to know what is it that you're doing and how can I help someone in case I don't know directly. I have people like yourselves that I can actually say, I know some people. Can I ask you to walk me through a day of the chemo, because I believe this was one of your chemo weeks.
Yes, I had chemo Monday and Tuesday. This particular chemo is not as hard on you as what the breast cancer was. If I had treatment for the breast cancer, I would not be here tonight because my lack of energy, there would be no way I could do it. But it's really important for me. And as you know, when you came to the hospital and saw me, you actually saw how they administered the chemo.
Very carefully, making sure you had gloves. I couldn't be around the area. Don't touch the bag. She said, don't touch the bag. I'm like, why? Don't touch it. Then I understood why.
Powerful stuff.
So I was told,
And my passion is to help people through this journey, because it's not the easiest, but you can get through it. And some days are diamonds, some days are pearls.
Yeah.
It's just
Wow.
I
love it.
I thought she was going to say something else that began with a P.
like poo.
And then
Sorry. I wish you could just put cancer in its own little box and say, you're going to feel this way, you're going to feel that way. It's just not that way, because everybody goes through it differently. Your side effects for one person are going to be different from other people. And before this happened to me, I had that perspective.
it's scary, I'm
Yes,
understanding.
even breast cancer. There are so many forms of it. There's so many different treatments for it that it's really just hard to cope with it. And then all the restrictions you have. You can't do this, you can't do that. At least my doctor was very active about that, adamant that that you do it her way and you're going to be fine, which I did. Of course, that's the only thing I could do because I couldn't do much, anything else. But anyway, helping people is what I want to do to make my life better also.
Wow, to make you better. I'm going to assume, as me going through the loss of a loved one, it changes a lot of things around you, changes friendships, changes families, it definitely changes ourselves. There's a stress and a strain, I'm going to assume, yes. I can only speak of my walk and my journey. I'm going to assume that puts a little stress on yours because that word strong comes into mind, that you're like, I have to be strong for everybody, when you're like, I am at least to be strong. So,
And we have to remember the caregivers,
because
they they suffer along with you. They might not let you know about it, but you can see it in their faces, their eyes, that, you know, they want to help you, but there's nothing that they can do. You kind of have to get through this journey by yourself as far as, like, the side effects and things of the drugs.
So, I'm very stubborn. It's on camera. I'll admit I'm very stubborn. I think that we as women and parents, mothers especially, are stubborn. That we are invincible, or if we're hurting, we're not going to let anyone else know that we're hurting. Is there anything that you can share with anyone out there who's probably just been diagnosed for something, cancer, excuse me, that would be helpful when, like you just mentioned, the caregivers, they look in their eyes, or they don't know what to say, they don't know what to do, that you could offer so they don't feel that weight of either guilt for not being able to help you, or letting you have your space because you say, I'm in a bad mood and I don't want you to take it personal, but I can't tell you that. Is there anything you can share?
For me, when I was diagnosed at 36 years old, it was such a blindside diagnosis because I had 3 little ones under the age of 6. And so when my 1-year-old was born, she had a disability. So I was so focused on her journey that when I got diagnosed, I did put mine kind of on the side. So I went through the motions of my treatment, and I think I'm speaking to these young women out there that we're serving that are in their 20s to their 30s that we're actually seeing. And they don't really have a choice. They've got to continue. I know you need to put on your oxygen mask first and then assist, but it's kind of a way to get through it without, I guess, getting into that dark place because you're kind of, I guess, you're able to kind of think of other things besides just yourself. So for me, I can honestly say that I didn't think of myself the whole time. And so I think it was probably a healthier thing at the time because I was raising my children and I wanted them to have as much normalcy as they could. But for the caregiver, who was my husband, I had to just tell him, you know, after reconstruction, after failed reconstruction, infection, and everything that I was going through, having him help me dress me, I said, just know there's nothing you can do, but let me just validate how I feel, and then that's all I need. And so then he understood. He knew he couldn't fix me, but I was able to express myself and let him know, I don't need you to fix, I just need you to validate. So that's kind of, I think, you know, where I was at with my journey is I had to keep going. I had no choice. I had children to take care of. And I think there's positives to that because you know, there's positives to being able to get through that hard treatment because you have other ones you have to care for. So with the re-diagnosis now and me having all these different side effects, because like she said, there's so many different types of breast cancer, and mine is hormonal. And so people need to know, who's listening, that every breast cancer is different as far as the diagnosis. So for me right now, if there could be a blessing as to my re-diagnosis, is that mine is hormonal based. And even though there's no cure, they're able to hormonally shut things down and tell the cancer to be quiet.
Wow.
So when there's inflammatory and things like that, right now there's just treatments that are just keeping things at bay. And a lot of people live a great full life on that. With mine, I was very lucky that it was hormone based, so I'm able to function. But I guess my point is that I think, and Brenda will probably chime in with having little ones, is you are distracted, and it's okay to be distracted because I think it's healthy to keep going that way when you are trying to get through the journey.
And you as well?
I concur. I completely concur. So for myself, as I stated earlier, I was, how old was I? 27. And I gave birth March 1st. I was diagnosed April 1st of the next year. And so that whole world, when like you're on this ride and everything is, I just, you know, what's going on and how do you focus? How do you come to grasp with what's going on with you? And as Elizabeth stated, focusing on the family. Although I've had my family there, my parents and my sisters, they along with my husband, they had to take care of our firstborn because, with newborns and all, and like you said, don't touch that, you can't touch this, you can't touch that, you're very restricted when you're in treatment, and then you have a newborn who is needing their shots, exactly, the whole
whatsoever.
there's just so much going on, and so you're in so many different paths of trying to, which way do I go, like literally, that's kind of like how you feel, but again, I will say I concur with everything that Elizabeth said. You have your caregivers, whoever fills that role for you, and just coming together and coming to grips and understanding that they can't do anything, you can't do anything, because obviously if we were empowered to do that, we would change a whole lot about our personal journeys, but you learn to, and still learning to adjust to your new normal and figure out what it is that I'm supposed to do and how do I receive and accept where I am. And once you kind of figure out how to receive and accept, then for me, then my pathway started to open up and I could see beyond sitting where I was. I can stand in my stuff, but I could see beyond that. And so that's been the biggest transformation for me and for those around me as my caregivers.
So you've mentioned germs. We talked about new babies, and then you guys are going through chemo. There have been people that we're all in a bubble. Some people want to go past someone's boundaries. Some people get offended if you don't shake their hand, you don't hug them, and you should not have to tell them why you're not. But that's the way society is. It's like, this is my bubble, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to allow you in it to tell you something you don't need to be concerned with. Is there anything you could share with other people to say that would be respectful to someone who's going through this, that would say, don't be offended if I don't shake your hand, hug you, whatever the physical touch is?
Yeah, that was a big.
It's a fear.
That is
yes,
big.
It's a big fear.
Big.
What's the fear, I guess?
The fear is that my immune system is so low that if you sneeze over there, that it's going to find me way over here.
Yes.
And I was told, you stay out of the crowds. Oh my goodness, and if it's flu season, you just don't interact. You have to keep your boundary up. And, sometimes you do have to just say to people, I can't, and you just have to say that. And you don't have to be nasty about it, of course, but we have to be careful. You have to respect
and
that.
following that, I think when you know a loved one that's been diagnosed and you might not be able to transfer them to doctor visits, because this is the thing, you need to be very careful with getting germs and things like that. But sometimes you don't even have the help to get to the doctors that you need to get to. And I think reaching out to, I feel like the Google search bar is the most brilliant thing, because you can Google and find services that can help you if you don't have a loved one or a caretaker to take you, so that you don't get those germs and things like that. If you're, maybe your daughter has 5 children and you're just like, I just can't go, have you take me. Mm-hmm. It's important to reach out and find other services that can really assist, and ask your doctor for help.
Perfect. So we're running short on time here. So the last question I have, and if you'll be brief, is what legacy do you want to leave?
Oh, I think the legacy I'd like to leave is, I think the word fit into.
What's the word?
The endurance, I'll say.
Okay.
Endurance.
Okay.
That I was able to do what I could do and go through what I went through. I might not have smiled all the way through it, but at least I opened myself up to the vision of embracing.
Janice?
My legacy would to be giving with my faith in God. He has helped me come through so many things that enable me to try to give the legacy of hope to people going through this cancer journey.
Yeah, I think my legacy is to really always let people know that I showed up with intention of really being present for each person that I wanted to be with. And I really believe hope heals. And it might not ever get you back to your regular self that you were 30 years ago, but I believe that it heals. And so I just want people to know that sharing hope is what I'm trying to give people.
Which is exactly why I chose Stories of Hope. Healing, grief, transformation, inspiration, and celebrating life. It sounds as though even though you have now come back to something else, you're still celebrating life, you're still educating people, you're still living the best that you can.
Yeah.
I am so grateful to have had you guys here. Is there anything you want to add before we close?
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
this was
fun.
This is great. So again, if you need to reach out to myself or you want to reach out to Brenda or Janice or Elizabeth, the information will be provided below. You can email me. Elizabeth, your organization, the information will be available too, so if you have questions. For that, I would say keep strong, even though that word is not really a good word to use, but keep your faith and know that you're not walking this journey alone and that no matter what, you will be okay, and keep celebrating life, keep pushing forward, and don't keep yourself away from anybody that's wanting to be close. Because we all really want that connection. And if someone asks you how you're doing, you can tell them how you're doing. They may not want to hear what you have to say, but it's okay. With that, I thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.
The preceding program was brought to you by the Holy Spirit Broadcasting Network, HSBN Television.